Okay, so x squared plus 10 is equal to 13. How do I solve this? Again, I want just x squared is equal to some constant. So I need this plus 10 brought to the other side by subtracting 10 from both sides, or bring positive 10 to the other side by taking the negative of it or subtracting 10 from it. So that becomes x squared is equal to 13 minus 10 is 3. Then from here, I am going to take a square root of both sides. But when I do that, remember, I need to remember plus or minus. So that becomes x squared, x is going to be equal to plus or minus square root of 3, since I cannot simplify that any further. I'm good with you leaving it as it is, as long as you understand that this means that x could be positive 3 root 3, or x could be negative root 3. What about the next problem? Okay, so I want the x squared is equal to some constant. I don't want 4x squared. So what I want to do is divide both sides by 4. That becomes my giant one, and you're left with x squared is equal to 6. Then you take a square root of both sides. Remember, I need to put plus or minus on the side with the number, because I'm taking a square root of variable. Okay, so then the square root and square cancels each other out, and you're left with x on the left hand side, and you're left with plus or minus root 6 on the right hand side. Again, root 6 cannot be simplified any further, so we'll leave it as it is. That means x could be equal to square positive root 6, or x could be equal to negative root 6. Okay, let's bring it up a notch. What if you have x squared minus 5 is equal to negative 2? What do I need to do? The first thing is to rewrite the equation as x squared is equal to constant. So x squared is equal to some constant means I need to get rid of this 4 and get rid of this negative 5. Just like when you're solving an equation, we always get rid of plus or minus first by adding or subtracting. So adding 5 to both sides, you get 4x squared is equal to 3. 4x squared is equal to 3. 4x squared is equal to 3. Then from here, I need to get rid of 4 by dividing both sides by 4. And that leaves me with x squared is 3 over 4. Then we apply the square root of both sides. Make sure to include plus and minus sign. Take both plus and minus version into account by adding the plus and minus onto the side with the number. And then you simplify. So you have square x is equal to plus or minus square root of 3 over square root of 4. Which is same as square root of 4 is 2, so it's square root of 3 over 2. Okay, now you're going to solve using square root number 2. Do your work on paper and put each answer in private chat. So if you have x squared minus 4 is equal to 32, or 8x squared plus 7 is equal to 9. Please do your work in your notebook, and when you have your answer, please answer in private chat. So again, I need to get rid of this 3, and I need to get rid of this negative 4. I always get rid of adding and subtracting first, so I add 4 to both sides, and that leaves me with 3x squared is equal to 36. Okay, now I don't take a square root of at this point, even though 36 is a perfect square. I need to divide both sides by 3 first, and that leaves me with x squared is equal to 36 divided by 3 is 12. Now I am going to take the square root of both sides. When I do that, because I'm taking a square root of variable, I do a add plus and minus onto the other side, and again the square root and square cancels each other out, and you're left with x is equal to plus or minus, what is square root of 12? Can I simplify this? Yes, I can simplify this as 4 square root of 4 times square root of 3, which is same as plus or minus square root of 4 is 2, so it's going to be 2 root 3. So x is equal to positive 2 root 3, or x is equal to negative 2 root 3 are my two solutions. What about this? Again, I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides, and that leaves me with 8x squared is equal to 9 minus 7 is 2. Divide both sides by 8, and that leaves me with x squared is equal to 2 over 8 is same as a quarter. Then from here, I am going to take a square root of both sides. Remember to add plus or minus sign. That leaves me with x squared is equal to square root of plus or minus square root of 1 is just 1. What is square root of 4? That's just 2. So x is equal to positive half, or x is equal to negative half. Okay, now to try application problem. We're going to watch a quick excerpt from this movie, Journey to the Center of the Earth. Okay, so you are going to be working on Desmos activity, card number 1 to 7 of the falling glow stick. Okay, so that gets you, the first card gets you to watch that again. And what do you notice? What do you wonder? Alright, then Dahlia is at another deep pit. When she threw her glow stick, it took 5.6 seconds to land. Drag the 5 points and place them where you think the glow stick is at 1 second after release, 2 seconds after release, and so on. Okay, so there are 5 points. So I'm going to move that up. Okay, after 1 second, okay, maybe I'm gonna think that, okay, maybe I just divide this by 5.6. So maybe something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this tells me that maybe after 1 second, I'm gonna assume that it's gonna cover the same distance. This is what it will look like. Okay, so after 1 second, it will be here, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, and then 6 seconds here. Maybe something like this. That's my assumption. Okay, and let's see how it works out. Okay, so these are my points. Click on the arrow to show the actual location in the 5.6 seconds. How do your predictions compare? So here we go. Look at that. After 1 second, instead of being here, it was over here. After 2 seconds, instead of being here, which was my prediction, it was over here. Green, instead of here, after 3 seconds, it was here. Notice how the distance seems to be increasing each second almost. So first second, it only traveled this far. Second, it traveled this far. Third, fourth, and fifth, and sixth is not as much because it's only part of the whole second. Okay, so that's what's happening. How did your predictions compare? What do you wonder about the actual locations? Please enter your thought. Okay, now the glow stick depth measurement are shown on the left. Transcribe the information into the time versus depth. Okay, so after 1 second, that's the red second, it was at -16. So negative 16, if that is negative 100, maybe it's going to be about here. Okay, after 2 seconds it's negative 64, maybe a little halfway, but maybe a little bit beyond. Negative 144, maybe about, I don't know, halfway between 100 and 200. 256, maybe a little bit over. Okay, and 400 will be about here, and 5.6 will be 500, which will be right there. Okay, so that's my transcribed graph. Okay, so press the arrow to see the time burst. Okay, so now it's going to do it for us. Okay, notice the shape. It is a parabola. It's not a linear straight line. It is a curved line. Okay, now which of the following equation would represent the glow stick depth, d as a function of time t? Looking at this, what can I rule out? I can rule out this positive 16t squared, because this is a parabola that is opening down. So that means we need to have negative in front of the something being squared. Okay, so and look at the where is the y-intercept? Y-intercept is 0, 0. Okay, so that means when t is equal to 0, the distance was also equal to 0. That means it rules out these two. Okay, so the only possibility is negative 16t squared or negative 16 times 2 to the power of t. Let's substitute some values. When t is equal to 1, okay, t is equal to 1, that's going to be 1 squared times negative 16, that's negative 16 right there. But if I put t is equal to 1 to this equation, 2 to the power of 1 is just 2. 2 times negative 16 should be negative 32, and it's not negative 32. So the correct answer is this one. And using Sean's rough count of 3 seconds, help Trevor Anderson estimate how deep that pit is using this equation. Distance is equal to negative 16t squared. Okay, so we're saying that t is equal to 3. So that is same as t is equal to negative 16 times 3 squared. Okay, and that is going to be 9 times negative 16. That's going to be negative 144 feet. Okay, let's review what the actor said in the movie. So we are saying for 3 seconds he would have traveled negative 144 feet. So we think the depth is negative 144. What did he say? Okay, so what do you think? He was not quite correct, was he? He was off by 56 feet. Okay, so quick application problem. How many seconds for a rock to reach the bottom of 256 feet valley? Again, we can always use this equation, half gt squared, and g is the gravitational force, which is negative 32. Or acceleration due to gravity. So we can use that y is equal to negative 16t squared. So we can set up the equation as negative 256 because it's going below the ground level is equal to negative 16t squared, and this is the work, and you'll get t is equal to 4 seconds or negative 4 seconds, but we would